You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Good morning. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us. We have a great show planned for you as usual. And so stick around. We're live on CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio. We're also streaming live at cklu.ca. Just click on the Radio Player Canada app and you can stream us. If you download the same Radio Player Canada app, you can take us with you and listen to us anytime, anywhere, on your favorite device. Also, while you're there, just make sure to check out the merch that we have. Pick out a nice t-shirt or a hat or a mug, whatever it is. It'll help support the station and then hence help support the show because we'll have a station to have the show on. Helps keep the lights on, helps keep the airwaves open. It's our campus and community radio station. Been around since 1984. Started off in a little trailer on Ramsey Lake Road, the Laurentian University campus. And now we're located at the corner of Elgin and Elm Street, downtown Sudbury, in the old Telegraph building, which is now part of the MacEwan School of Architecture in relationship with Laurentian University. So we're grateful for that relationship and the community and the campus working together, all made possible by you. And this is your show on your station. It's your conversation on your station. Each and every weekday morning between 7:30 and 8:30 is Sudbury News Talk, where it is Sudbury News and Views. It's our views on the world and the world around us immediately in our community, in our region, in our province, in our country, in our world. And so if you're here or you're from, outside of Sudbury, welcome to the show. I think you'll find whatever we discuss here on the show informative, sometimes entertaining, but definitely we love to have a conversation and try to make sense of this rather confusing world, and it's getting a little more confusing each and every day. We do it together, and that's what we do. We get together like we're at a coffee shop and in the morning as friends and discussing world views, local views on the news. And it is, it's welcome to have an alternate opinion. Sometimes someone might tune in and say, wow, everyone seems to be, talking the same talk here. They're all on the same page. And I guess my opinion wouldn't really matter. But no, that's not true. We have people who come on from time to time and who have totally opposite views of what a lot of people on the show would hold. And it's totally welcome. That's the reason for the show. We really do welcome all opinions. However, it's encouraged. It's basically a policy of the show to show respect, to be respectful. Now, sometimes we could be frustrated with things, and that's normal. And I think this is a great way to communicate those frustrations. However, at the same time, we can still be respectful of one another while being frustrated with what's going on in the world. And as long as our frustrations are aimed at the right sources of the frustration and not at each other, because I think that would be very sad if I think most of us have more things in common these days, and I think we need to start the conversation and the narration of what we have in common and not what we have in our differences, and realize that there are a few out there who would rather us be bickering all the time and be at odds one with another, and find our differences, no matter what that would be, to start arguing with each other. And it goes right back to the whole united we stand, divided we fall. It's the oldest trick in the book to divide and conquer. And So if we find that we're divided, we just need to ask ourselves, is there a possible reason why we're divided? Is there something behind that? And if not, if it's just a coincidence, well, that's fine. But if it's not, then anyone who would have something to gain by dividing, they need to be the ones that we face our frustration to and unitedly unroot that source, the source of division, right? Get rid of division. That's what we need to do. We need to stand together, face whatever is dividing us, find out first what's dividing us. Just like you'd go through a garden and you'd find the weeds and you need to take the weeds out. Okay? We don't say, oh, our garden is all inclusive. We need the weeds too. No, people don't do that with a garden. Some do, I guess. But it's not recommended for a garden. Although there's all different varieties in the garden. There's not just one thing in most gardens. You got your tomatoes, your onions, your potatoes, your peas, your herbs. You got all kinds of things in your garden. Turnips, watermelon, carrots, you name it. It's in your garden, right? So it is diverse as it is. But a weed isn't part of that diversity. All that to say, in our world of diversity, there are still factions out there that want to make the carrots fight with the onions and the herbs fight with the whatever. So if you find that that's going on, you got to get rid of the weeds. Okay? So not the greatest analogy to start the morning, but hey, I just woke up. So let's get on with things. Let's start the show. Glad that you're with us. I really appreciate you. This is your show. So we'll have time for your comments and more as soon as we come back right after the weather. So stay tuned. It's going to be a great show as usual. And as usual, the weather is brought to you by Duck Check. Duck Check for all your residential, commercial, and industrial duct cleaning needs. You give them a call. They're the experts. They're the ones with the right equipment and the right experience to get the job done. Make sure your air is as clean as possible. And the weather today, it'll be sunny with a high of 27. And fog patches dissipating in the morning. Humidex will be 23. Tonight it'll be clear. In the evening, then partly cloudy with a 30% chance of showers overnight, risk of thunderstorm. Low of 17. Tuesday. Now, is this yesterday's? Again, I think it could be yesterday's. And some funky things are going on with our weather these days. I'm not sure. The page just closed yesterday when I refreshed it. And as you can see now, it's just blank. So you're seeing the weirdness that's going on right now as I refresh the page and it just goes all wonky. See? It's just doing something. It's just doing something. And it went to a totally different page and all I did was refresh the thing. That's all I did. I just refreshed it. That's all I did. And now it's just right back to that. Anyways, look at your long range. So again, right? Wednesday, showers, 30% of chance of showers with a high of 19. Thursday, high of 22, mix of sun and cloud. And 60% chance of showers on Friday with a high of 23. Saturday, high of 24, mix of sun and cloud. And 40% chance of showers Sunday with a high of 20. And 20% high of 20 on Monday with a mix of sun and cloud. So it's a mixed bag, period. Look at your satellite. You can see some of that cloud rolling in here. So there'll be a chance of rain and thunderstorms. So that's your Sudbury weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca and Duck Check. For all your residential, commercial, and industrial duct cleaning needs, give them a shout at 705-918-4848. They're serving Greater Sudbury and Muskoka areas. Let them know that we sent you. You can get $100 off your next duct cleaning and inspection. We'll be back with your comments, headlines, and more right after this. so that's a mystery what's happening with our weather here, and just we've been doing this for I don't know how long, and it's never happened before. You just refresh a page and it just goes to another page altogether. So we'll see what's going on behind that maybe today before we start the show tomorrow. And anyways, grateful that we have you on nonetheless. We're going to get to a few local headlines. There's a lot of local news we're going to cover today, and I think it's pretty juicy stuff. It has to do with the commissioner of the city and slapping the hands of certain councillors. You know, we'll see if they are able to have a be able to speak freely, or if they're going to get a muzzle put on them and be punished every time they try and do their job. We'll see. We'll see. We'll look at the news today on that and much more going on locally. So stay tuned. It's going to be a great show. Good morning. Blessings, everyone. This is Nana on YouTube. You know, YouTube was doing something before where it would say we had no views, but now we're getting like between 20 and 30 people on YouTube for the live. So that's really great. Great to see. We're getting between 20 and 30 people on YouTube. I mean, on Facebook, which is really great. So maybe they're loosening up the strings of the algorithm a little bit just to let other people kind of peek into the show. So I'm grateful for that. And good morning, Judy on Facebook. Hope you're having a great morning, Marianne. Good morning, everyone from Grayberry. It's a little bit gray here as well. Liked and shared as usual. And Monique, good morning, Sudbury, with a smiley emoji. Belinda, good morning. Great to have you back, by the way. You were here yesterday as well. I love your positive statements of the day. We kind of missed them while you were gone. The right people for your soul hear you differently. They show up differently, support you differently, and nourish you differently. That's how you know what a beautiful group of souls. That's how you know what a beautiful of souls here. Group of souls are here. Okay, sorry for my reading in the morning. You know, these aren't prescription glasses; they're blue blockers, and my eyes need some work. But anyways, that's a great statement. That's right. You know, people are good for your soul when they hear you differently, they show up differently, support you differently, and nourish you differently. And people on this show are like that. They are very positive. For the most part, the odd time, and again, it's welcome if you have a different point of view and you want to express it. It's Sudbury News. It's not AJ Walsh's news. And a lot of people said you need to change the name because it's not really news, but it is our views on the news. That's what it is. I think people take exception when they hear different points of view and they're not just used to hearing someone reading off a teleprompter, all the same stuff they're used to hearing each and every day. Their brain is forced to kind of work a little bit and think. But it's good to think. I had a grade 5 and grade 7 teacher who gave me his picture, at picture time. He took a picture too and gave me one on the back. It said, "Firstly, you think," and he had his picture. He's kind of just pointing to his head like that. And he taught me that lesson and many, many more as a young person. And I've gone on to live out the things he taught me. And I really appreciate good teachers. We've all had good teachers. Unfortunately, we've all had the opposite too, but we've all had good teachers. And Pat, good morning, y'all, with a smiley emoji. Much appreciated, Pat. Thanks for being on. And Debbie, good morning. Smiley emoji as well. Marianne, things are getting interesting in Barrie. We had a blatant robbery in the Georgian Mall, a jewelry store. 6 to 7 people committing the robbery. Okay, so it's making its way up to our parts now. You see this in LA and large cities in the United States where, and then as far as I know, they're not really prosecuted. They kind of get away with it. And then that sends a message to the rest of the community that they can go out and do these kinds of things. That's the new world we're starting to live in, or the new normal, if you will. Not right. Needs to be stopped. Doesn't need to be there. Again, it's a sad reminder of how things have been allowed to become in our world by the type of governance that we've had over the last, 9 or so years in this country. Estelle, good morning to you. Hope you're having a good morning. Okay, I'm not sure, Debbie, your question, if it's to me or to somebody else, and it might have been something I said a little while back, so I apologize for that. Maybe we'll get to that. And morning to you, Vin. Much appreciated. Oh, okay, yes, you were talking with someone else here. Okay, so Belinda, yeah, talking to Marianne that it was well organized. When did the robbery take place? That's right. So it was yesterday, and it was well organized. So I wasn't aware of this. Marianne says we'll see if I can share it in the post. So the story of that, and hopefully it doesn't start hitting. I know it's going to start hitting Sudbury at some point. Things like that. We already have bad enough crime here, but that type of organized crime, we don't need any of that. We won't have any stores left. No one will want to own a store because it'll just be robbed and people will just get away with it. And it'll be dangerous for the store owners. Hearts 8 Universal. That's Denise. And Marianne says, today we are under tornado watches again. That is in Barrie. So if you're traveling, just a bit of a, if you're traveling, make sure if you're going through Barrie that there is a tornado warning, apparently. Thank you very much for that, Marianne. Everyone is trying to find their way only by sharing opinions. This is Belinda. And ideas. We will weed through the lies and find the truth. It looks like we're going to have a bit of a theme going on here. Yes, and Denise, when you gave that statement, it was hearts are universal, not 8. For sure, I knew there had to be something with that. And Denise, you're right. Food does bind people together. If you're ever having a meeting with somebody and it's, and it's important or whatever, you add food to it. You bring out some kind of food. It's magic. Everyone sits around and enjoys a meal together. It just makes a conversation that much more intimate and wonderful. And we've all been there, so you can remember a time. It's just great to sit down and enjoy food with your friends, family, people that you want to be around, or just if you're wanting to share not only food but share ideas. It's a good time to do that around the table. Brian, good day, Sudbury campers, or good day, Sudbury Patriots. You used to use campers, so good morning to you, Brian. Thanks for being on. You also go on to say there's much more to being a patriot than a citizen, than reciting the pledge or raising the flag. That's Jesse Ventura. Speaking of Jesse Ventura, I'm going to be sharing a video clip of him at some point in the near future on Fox News, where one of the hosts just gets up and walks away. The guy is just so truthful. I love Jesse Ventura. And he said there's much more to being a patriot and a citizen than reciting a pledge or raising a flag. Yeah, it's so true. And Denise says our town halls are free. All tribes and religions are welcome at the hall. It belongs to the people. When that starts happening, and you understand that hall belongs to the people, for sure, 100%. And that's the way, when I was just recently going through university a couple of years ago, we would talk, because it was in communications, we would talk about this type of thing where there's public forums so people can freely say what they want. And it's so important to society. And we were talking about social media, and has social media become a town hall? Well, I would go out on a limb and say, yes, it should be treated as a town hall, but it's not. It's being censored now by those in charge of it, whether it be, owners of it or governments that are making policies regarding social media. it's being censored in these town halls that we have online that are basically, this is a form of a town hall that we have each and every morning right here on this show, is looked down upon. And they're saying that, there's misinformation at these town halls. So we need to shut it down because some people are going to be influenced if someone says whatever they want, whatever they're free to say. So people shouldn't be free to say whatever. There needs to be something. Once you start down that, good luck with that one. Once you start saying, yeah, you can't say this, you can't say that. Well, I think if there's a threat made that could lead to action, our laws, I think, are pretty sufficient right now. If someone was to make a racial slur or hateful comment, I think they're trying to change what's hateful. I think hurting your feelings now is hateful. Like if something hurt my feelings, it's hateful. Not saying a derogatory comment that's going to put you down, or something that is against the law. I'm going to come to your house and kill you. That's, and I'm not saying that, by the way, to anybody. I hope if someone ever takes that clip, they could. That's the problem of doing a show like this. You can just take a clip out of context and say, oh, look, he said I'm coming to your house and doing you know what, which is terrible that people do things like that. But again, it's all an attack on free speech. People who, they're afraid of truth, right? So they want to shut down the conversation so that way they can get away with whatever they're doing. They don't want a discussion. They don't want people to be able to say what they want because people can out them. But if they can shut down that ability for somebody to say what they want, then they can do whatever they want because no one will out them, right? So you got to watch out for people that are out to censor and shut down free speech. We have laws already. If people are breaking them online, then it's fine. You did it publicly. You broke a law right on your live stream. I mean, but if you change the laws, and that's what they're doing now, they're changing the laws. They're changing the definitions. So that way, whatever I'm saying, yeah, there's laws out there. And if you break them, yeah, now this is the law. You just broke it. You hurt someone's feelings. Okay, you're going to jail. Like that's okay. That's where we're going with this society. And I'm not a fan. And good morning, Mike. Thanks for being on. We'll be talking about the latest with two of the counselors with the brushes with the commissioner. So hopefully we'll cover those stories well and give it the time that they need. Marianne also gotta love the algorithms. Oh, for sure, definitely. And Pam, good morning to you. Sudbury peeps, good morning. Hope you're having a good morning. And you as well, Victoria. Good morning, everyone. Have you seen the videos of praying in the streets in Toronto? No, I have not. Are you speaking of, okay, so, and the NFL is introducing facial recognition to look into wicket and a credit? Not aware of that either. The NFL is introducing facial recognition. Oh, look into wicket and a credit. Interesting. So this is why I'm so grateful for you guys. There's just so many things that are going on out there. How does anybody have the time? We don't get it on our mainstream news. We just don't. So we need some kind of way to get informed. Can't share it on Facebook. Can't share news on Facebook anymore. It's not against the law because Facebook is doing it, but the government caused it. So they kind of squirm the way around being accountable for that one. Because I could just say it's against the law, but they'd come back and say, no, it's not against the law. They just wanted Facebook to pay journalists. And journalists said, we don't need anything. Why is the government doing this? But at the end of the day, you don't hear the government talking about it anymore because I think, my opinion, they got what they wanted. They did that to shut down Facebook being able to share news. Again, why? Because you don't want to be outed on things you're doing. And what outs people usually? News, right? It's very simple. It's not hard to see what's going on. In plain sight, hidden in plain sight. Let's put it that way. Denise, you have Canada's National Nuclear Laboratories host a Fusion Day in 2024 to unveil the Fusion Roadmap and to introduce new programs to accelerate fusion deployment in Canada. And Chalk River is a part of this, so it's a long explanation, and I encourage people to read it. Whoa, wow, that's the whole article, I think, right there. And there's a contact and everything at the end. So if you want to learn more about CNL, you visit cnl.ca, and it's a press release, it looks like, from them. So again, if that's something that you want to look into, and this is where we have the opportunity to share different things like this. And Linda, good morning to you from River Valley. I hope you're having a great time in River Valley. Love the name River Valley. It just sounds like such a peaceful place. Marianne says, can we say Sharia law is coming? Yeah, that's the praying in Toronto streets, I believe, right? That's what you're referring to. And yes, it is. I think if you have, we've been used to being mainly a Christian Judeo nation in this country, and we've never had large groups of other religions here practicing publicly, and it is a new thing. It's a new thing. Like it, love it, loathe it, it's here, and we will have to see how it goes. I mean, we're going to play this out. We're in the movie. We're in the middle of it, and yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. That's the new name for the show, Aaron and Friends. Thanks, Denise. Maurice says, good morning, and good morning to Maurice. Thanks for being on, Maurice. Nana, yes, talking to Belinda. Beautiful statements, usually, always. Also, Belinda, speaking of Belinda, when you criticize the system, they think you're criticizing them because they fully accept the system and identify themselves with it. And that is so true. It's like groupthink. You know, it's funny because speaking of communications in university, when I was there, one of the classes, we were talking about different subjects of communication, and they said, well, they actually just took groupthink out of the curriculum. And I was like, because I was smart enough to know what was going on by that point. Where do you think all this stuff comes from? They're breeded in universities, and then they're hatched into society, right? And so yeah, they took groupthink out as a subject to study. But the professor was really interesting. It wasn't because they knew the reason why it was taken out, or they knew it was a nefarious thing or anything. They just thought, I thought there was some really good things in this, so I'm keeping it in my course. And so we studied groupthink, and it was really eye-opening of how I think it's a political tactic, talking about systematic things. People will go along with stuff, and they know that. It's like, again, I've shared this, candid camera segment a few times on the show where the elevator door opens and everybody's facing the back wall. And the person who's on candid camera walks in and they feel uncomfortable just facing the elevator doors. They have to turn around and face the back wall like everyone else. And then the doctor's office where they go in and everybody's already in their underwear in the waiting room. And you can see everybody's clothes up on the hangers. And the people walk in and 90% of them start taking their clothes off and put them on the hangers and get in their underwear. It's because groupthink. It is a thing. If everybody's doing it, most people will go along. They don't want to be the only one, even if they know it's true. It's like your parents used to say to you. You go to your parents, but Maggie, but Jimmy, but they're doing it. And what did they say to you? If your friends would jump off a cliff, would you do it too? I think we're seeing a lot of people jumping off a cliff these days because everyone's just going around doing the exact same thing, knowing full well it's wrong. I think if the last 4 years wasn't an indication of that, I don't know what is. So again, I think we're just moving on. They'll go to the next thing to make everybody go along with. And one of the things they need to do now is to shut things like this up and off, because if somebody's even outing it and saying it's possible for you to think for yourself and you don't have to go along with everybody, giving you permission to do that, they don't want that. That kind of goes against. If someone came into the candid camera show and walked in and said, you know what, you don't have to take your clothes off, It's a show. They're trying to manipulate you. It's a show that puts people in weird situations and everyone's entertained by seeing how you handle it. And they go, oh, okay, I'm keeping my clothes on then. Well, you can't have a guy come on the show like that. It would ruin the show. It would ruin the plan. They wouldn't have a show that's entertaining anymore to watch people jumble through these situations that they've set up for people to make something comedic out of it. All right? So they need to shut this up. They need to shut people up. They need to just have their own news, which they are already building up anyways. CBC, $1.5 billion, 14 point whatever million dollars in bonuses to people when they have more people working for them that are actually watching them. You know what I mean? It's interesting, the world we're living in, shutting Facebook down so you can't share news anymore, and then funding all of the news organizations so that way they don't try and think of other ways to have a business model where they can actually be viable. They're just relying on government handouts like it would be in a communist society. This is the news we have these days here. It's pretty crazy. All right, Miles, good morning. Miles is praying. See, he's got his prayer emoji going on there. And we definitely need prayers for our society. It's something we don't really talk about on this show very much. People come to me often and say, hey, can you pray for me? And right away, I make sure that I remember that person. I don't just say, yeah, I will, and walk off and never do. It's now something I take very seriously, and I make sure that I do. And then I'll also tell other people that I know pray for people. And I'll ask them, oh, so-and-so just came to me and asked me to pray for them. And would you mind praying too? So I know there's power in it. And if anyone who's ever experienced it knows what I'm talking about. You ever lose your keys? If you don't believe in a higher power and you just really want to test it out and you lose your keys, really honestly, just humbly, just kind of get rid of your ego at the moment and just ask for help and watch what happens. And then you try and deny the fact that you weren't led to those keys, or those keys didn't just appear and you looked in that spot already 17 times and they're there. Or, or you just had a thought that came to your mind all of a sudden, look in the glove compartment of your car or whatever, just something you wouldn't have thought of, and bang, there they are, right? So something simple, but profound and huge at the same time. I'm just putting it out there. I know a lot of people have different beliefs, and I appreciate that. But I'm just saying, hey, it's like if I tried a good kind of cereal that's really good, and I said, you know what? I just tried this really good cereal the other day, and it's so good. Just try it. That's all I'm saying. What's wrong with that? But it'll come a time very shortly in the future, if things go the way some people want them, that will be illegal to say what I just said just now. I know it's crazy to think of, but that's where it's going. Denise also says, yes, globally, the alarmists have called for their jihad. Some of it is starting here already, and it's not even telling us, starting here, and it's not even telling us the news that we have to hear it from family and members in different places in Canada. So we're not hearing it on the news, but we are hearing it from other sources, which we appreciate. And Louise, good morning to you. We really appreciate you being on. Yes, Brian, I love food too. It looks like how late the comments are here because I'm just going on and on and on and on. We want to get to our news stories of the day. And then, yes, Marianne, crime is on the rise for sure. And there is a lot to do with the mass immigration. There is a lot to do with it. And yes, and there are implications for it as well. And yes, I would say buckle up as well, because our government is allowing what's happening for sure. If not actually making it happen. They're either allowing it or they're making it, right? So a couple more comments and then we'll have to get on with the news stories of the day. But thanks for being on. We have quite a few of you. We appreciate you being here. In regards to the facial recognition, it will be sold as security, which it usually is. You usually exchange your security for sovereignty, or your freedom for security. You give away your rights to be safe. So it's going to be a security to society, much like Trudeau's 15-minute cities built on excess federal lands. He's creating the housing crisis to offer the WEF solution. I agree with you wholeheartedly on what you're saying here. It's the grand design. I mentioned this years ago about devaluating property with policies such as drugs and allowing crime in high-value realty areas in BC. Create the problem and offer the solution. It's tactics 101, political tactics that go back, way back. Okay, so let's get to some local news here, brought to you by our news aggregator. And again, it's not like I'm trying not to involve some of the comments that you guys have already made. We'll get them up on the screen. And this is one I really want to get to, is the Integrity Commissioner recommends pay suspension for Ward 7 Councillor Natalie Labby. Now, Natalie's been on the show many times, listens to the show, watches the show, and contributes to the show whenever we're talking about something, and you just think she might not be listening. Boom, a comment comes in, and she sets the record straight or has something very poignant to say about what we're talking about concerning the city. So we're very intrigued to hear why she would be, why the commissioner of the city, the integrity commissioner, would want her to be suspended without pay for something that she did. Well, what did she do? That's the question we're asking. And it's hard to read a Sudbury Star online story with all of the pop-ups and the advertisements and everything while we're on the show, just to let it, if anyone has anything to do with the Sudbury Star website and you're listening, just to, it's just really hard to read. But anyways, that's just me. And good morning, Natty. I would be the one doing its own thing. Yes, we're talking about the candid camera. Exactly. And people going along with it. And I would too, I would hope. And welcome to the show. Thanks for being on and thanks for commenting. So the Integrity Commissioner is advising sanctions against Ward 7 Councillor Natalie Labby for remarks made earlier this year about CAO Ed Archer and pay hikes for the city admin. That's interesting. I thought it was great the way we found things out and what was done about it and the fact that it seemed transparent. But I guess the city's Integrity Commissioner disagrees. So he said, I have found that Councillor Labby's comments about the CAO, and the circumstances surrounding the salary increase for senior management personnel breached several provisions of the Code of Conduct. And that's David Boghossian. There we go. David Boghossian, 3 times and we got it. In a report to City Council. I hope he's not going to suspend me with pay because I mispronounced his name. Sorry about that, David. I didn't mean to do it. I apologize. The Integrity Commish said that in his view, a 20-day suspension of pay and an apology to the CAO would constitute an appropriate penalty. Does this sound like something to you? What vibes are you getting from this? It will now be up to council to accept that recommendation. Oh, wow. With a motion to be considered at its meeting next Tuesday. Very interesting. I would say we'll have Natalie on the show to discuss it, but I think she'd probably be reluctant due to maybe she's going to say something else that you're not allowed to say, that you're going to get suspended and no pay. Very interesting. Complaints were filed this spring by Ward 11 Councillor Bill Leduc regarding statements his colleague made at the May 14th council meeting, as well as in an open letter she posted on social media on May 20th, according to the report from the ethics watchdog. And another complaint was lodged in early June by a resident who wished to remain anonymous. Surprise, surprise. And good morning, Penny. Thanks for being on. Hope you're having a good morning. So yeah, another complaint just by some random person, citing comments Labby made for an article in these pages. Leduc also brought forward supplementary complaints pertaining to statements the Ward 7 rep made in subsequent news pieces and social media postings, including a Facebook group focused on Sudbury politics. I do know that Facebook group. A friend of mine started that. Actually gave me admin powers of that particular page, but I'm so busy with this, that's volunteer and whatever. But yes, so she made some comments on that he wasn't impressed with. So at the May 14th council meeting, Councillor Labby was quoted as saying, "This is definitely one of those situations where asking for forgiveness is a lot better than asking for permission. If you don't have trust, then you have nothing." Okay, I don't see anything wrong with that statement yet. We'll see if something gets a little more non-appropriate. Councillor Leduc said, "This comment suggests that the CAO Archer is untrustworthy and breached the code of conduct by undermining the trust and respect owed to staff members." Wow. There's trust and respect that's owed to staff members? Even if they did something illegal, would it be owed to staff members? I'm wondering. Like, where's the line? Where's the line where you stop respecting and you hold accountable? I'm just wondering. Just a question. Just from a citizen. And there you are, Natalie. I knew you'd be there. Okay, now my eyes are pretty bad this morning. I'm hoping I'll give it a go. All I'm going to say is watch the council meeting on September 3rd. The truth always comes out. I said on your show that nobody runs around with their hair on fire for no reason. I did you my outside voice on my opinion regarding the decision on the pay raises by the CAO, and I won't apologize for that part, which I really appreciate, Natalie. I don't think you need to. I think people will be behind you 100%, and this kind of thing needs to be out in the open. That's just my opinion, and again, it's you that's doing this, so it's easy for me to say. I spoke up along with my colleagues, Signoretti, Perrant, and Fortin, yet they weren't part of the complaint, but that's fine. The report is over, 20 pages, and many inconsistencies. Stay tuned. Thank you very much for that, Natalie. And that's the sense I'm getting as well. So I'm looking forward to this. I really do. I think there's many things that should come out of this that are valuable lessons. I think there's lots going on. And I think it's right. Buckle up, stay tuned. This is going to be interesting. Stick with your guns, Natalie. And integrity, people see integrity. Even those that want to punish you for it, they see it. It'll make them punish you more because they're not of integrity, or possibly not. But you got to stick to your guns. You got to be that person in the candid camera show that just doesn't go along with it. It's able to see through it and do what you know to be right. Okay, so Councillor Leduc said the statement suggests that the CAO Archer is untrustworthy. This is just golden, and breached a code of conduct by undermining the trust and respect owed to staff members, especially. So he gets special respect. Sorry, I can't help but laugh. And I hope if I'm hurting his feelings right now, I hope it's not a law yet that you go to jail just because you hurt someone's feelings, because feelings are always hurt by different people. And you shouldn't go to jail just because you hurt someone's feelings, because that's funny. Is it not? Do you think the CAO especially deserves respect? Now, do you think he needs to be held account for his statement right now? Councillor Leduc suggested the CAO Archer that Natalie Labby's comments suggest that CAO Archer is untrustworthy and breached the code of conduct by undermining the trust and respect owed to staff members, especially the CAO, writes Bogosian. Is that the CAO deserves extra respect than human beings in general, first of all, and then as a person who works for the city? Is that the way our society works? There's levels of respect that people deserve. There's people who deserve more respect than others. Are there really, though? Really? Honestly? Ask yourself that. He deserves more respect than other staff members. Okay. And Councillor Leduc, you're totally welcome to come on. Any councillor is welcome to come on the show. You know that. And if you think that I'm misrepresenting that statement, or the commissioner wants to come on, or Ed Archer wants to come on the show, you're all welcome. Because we like to do things in the light here. I like to just be public with stuff. I think it's great. If you really truly want to be transparent, right? I think it's great. Anyways, in her open letter shared on both social media and newspaper story, Labby argues, among other things, that the CAO should have been able to appreciate that a wage hike would have broader implications for the city, according to the report. She also contends that the city employees leaked information about the raises to the press that council was not privy to. This information, the commissioner adds. Now, is that true or not? They don't say in the report, oh, and that's true, by the way, or whatever. They're just saying that that's what she said. I love this stuff. In her conversation with the Sudbury Star, Labby said that she was very uncomfortable with the wage increase. We covered that story extensively on the show. And all those who are watching the show know that we do. The commissioner, however, found that Labby's claim that council was kept in the dark to be false and misleading. Again, she's spreading misinformation, right? That's the new buzzword these days. They're very worried about this kind of stuff. He also judged her comment. He judged her comment at the council meeting, which concluded with the line, "If you don't have trust, then you have nothing." To be unfair in a couple respects. Okay, he goes on to say why that's unfair. Her statement suggests that the CAO acted without authority and or contrary to council's direction. Not true. Not true. He did have the authority to do that. I remember very well knowing that that was given. He did have the authority to do it, or else he wouldn't have done it. You can't do something if you don't have the authority. You can't give yourself a wage increase if you don't have the authority to do that. Give your head a shake, right? We all know he had the authority to do it. That's why he did it. And he gave other people, management, a salary increase. Not only himself, but others as well. So we know that. So her statement that suggests the CAO acted without authority and or contrary to council's direction, when in fact council had passed a bylaw granting him unfettered delegation authority. And that was very apparent too. But she was saying what he did with that authority wasn't right in the public's view. And what do you think, right? Are you the public? What do you think about that? The CAO giving himself and a bunch of other people raises in a time when we're basically in a recession. Food bank use is going through the roof. People don't have a place to live. Rent's going through the roof. Mortgages through the roof. Food through the roof. So the public perception of this person giving themselves is just a raise and giving other management a raise. Believe me, these guys are living in a bubble and they don't know what real people think anymore, I think. This is what's going on. Okay. And without imposing any express conditions on parameters on the exercise of that authority, writes Bogosian. Furthermore, it suggests that the CAO asked for forgiveness for granting the pay increases when he did no such thing. No, of course he didn't ask forgiveness. Like the commissioner's asking Natalie Labby to ask his forgiveness, right? Because we're looking at the ring, kiss the ring, kneel, kiss the foot. More respect is deserved of this CAO for some reason. He needs more respect than you. Because his job, for some reason, I don't know where it's written, where's the proclamation of the order of respect in our society? Are we a class society? Do we have classes? Like in, let's say, countries like India here? Is this new? I never got the memo. I don't know whose ring I got to kiss the most. Respect to me is earned by your actions. And if you are integral, I'm going to respect you. I don't think I have to respect you. I don't think I could be legislated to respect. How can you legislate respect? You're getting into very murky waters here with this ideology that you're totally living in that great and spacious building downtown. You're going to have to get out, walk around your buildings at some point. Just get out and walk around, visit the homeless encampments, talk to them, The Integrity Commissioner further determined Labby breached confidentiality rules in several respects, including by purporting to report on what council members were advised or not advised in closed session about the impact of the salary increase. Boghossian said Labby was entitled to criticize the salary increase. But you have to do it in our way. You have to criticize us in our way. Do you ever see that skit with Jim Carrey, and he's the instructor, the self-defense instructor, and he gives a knife to the person that's there to learn, and she ends up stabbing him? He says, no, you're not supposed to stab me like that. You're supposed to stab me like this. This is what this reminds me. And I know most of you have seen that. I should have had that queued up if I would have known. Yeah, okay, you're entitled to criticize, okay? But once her comments veered into impugning the CAO's ability to make reasoned decisions, asserting that his conduct amounted to an abuse of trust, asserting that he breached an oral agreement with counselors, and that she would fire the CAO if she were capable of doing so, she crossed a line. Well, Natalie, I think most of the people here stand with you, and we'll continue to just discuss it as long as it's legal, right? And you should ask them for the memo, because it says you crossed some kind of line here. It's some kind of thing. You're saying there was some kind of oral agreement, but they're talking about some kind of class of respect that's, I don't know, is it written? Looks like they have an oral agreement too, that you need to respect the CAO even more than other councillors or other members of the city. So that sounds like an oral agreement that they are supposed to have with you. You're supposed to respect them to some high degree that hasn't been really, it's not written down. So it's an oral agreement. So I think they've gone out and breached that oral agreement. Anyways, that's all the time we have for the show today. Thanks, Natalie, for doing what you're doing. There's other things going on, so we'll have to get to tomorrow. We're going to continue this. I think this is a great diving board to begin the show tomorrow. Appreciate all you guys for being on. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Yeah, and tune in tomorrow. We're going to talk about this and dive into it even more. And some other counselors too getting their hands slapped as well. So we'll talk about them and more, as long as it's still legal, on Sudbury News Talk each and every weekday morning between 7:30 and 8:30 right here on CKLU 96.7 FM. Make sure to like and share and subscribe to all of our social medias. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Have a great Tuesday, everyone. Ciao.
Is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.